We as people are constantly changing. From our faces, to our waist size, our fashion and our style, to even our hair colour. Nothing in this world is permanent. However, with the growth in technology and social media, the standards for beauty and our bodies are even more focused on. With celebrities, business endorsements, even Instagram baddies. The room for comparing ourselves is growing bigger every day. Being the most affected by this is teenagers and young people. Statistics have shown that 1 in 3 UK teenagers are ashamed of their body. With the ways young people's bodies are changing during puberty, with a change in body height, weight and shape, young people can't help but compare with social media influencers and even their own friends, and how it compares to their own ideas of what their ideal body should look like. In one study, which followed 14 and 15-year-olds over a course of 3 years, found that internalization of these ideal body types as presented in the media led to a variety of negative emotions about appearance, which in turn then also led to unhealthy eating behaviours.
Because if you're thin enough, then you don't have that ass that everybody wants. But if you have enough weight on you to have an ass, then your stomach isn't flat enough. It's all just fucking impossible.
Although not all teenagers suffering with bad body image end up getting to it, between 1.25 and 3.4 million people in the UK are now suffering with an eating disorder. With such a large percentage suffering, it is very likely you or someone you know will end up with an eating disorder. Some of the main signs of an eating disorder include spending a lot of time worrying about your body and weight, avoiding socialising when you think food will be involved, eating very little food, making yourself sick or taking laxatives after you eat, exercising too much, or having very strict habits or routines around food, and changes in your mood. Yes, bad body image is a huge factor in contributing to the development of an eating disorder. However, there is so many more reasons than just wanting to be thin. Being one of the many to suffer with an eating disorder, I can tell you it definitely isn't all what it seems. I've suffered with bulimia, anorexia nervosa, and I can definitely tell you it's not just all about wanting to lose weight. There's never been a time in my life that I can remember where I wasn't constantly aware of my appearance. Never a moment where I wasn't wondering what my body would look like if I lost a little bit of weight. Never a moment where I was at peace with myself or accepting myself or wanting to fix something. I remember the vivid memory of when I was 7 and I was looking in the mirror and asking myself why I looked the way I did. Why my stomach wasn't as flat, why my waist wasn't as thin, why I just wasn't small really. And I remember telling myself that I'd never be worth anything unless I was smaller, thinner, prettier. I just thought that it would make me happy, being the size that I thought was acceptable. And I just kind of stayed in this hermit, insecure state for the next few years until I was 14. Well, not to be dramatic or anything, but my life kind of broke into a billion pieces. And my mum, one morning, she didn't wake up. She was incredible. She was the nicest woman you'd ever meet. She never failed to make me or anyone smile. When she left, everything just seemed to just stop. I don't really know how to explain it, but it kind of was just like I froze, my family froze, but the world kept moving around me. And I just really wanted to escape that feeling, because it was like I was just watching everything go on without me, and I wanted to escape it. We all try and escape our reality one time or another, gone one way or another. Whether that be drugs, alcohol, gaming, movies, even music. There's always a time you want to hide from something. And I found my escapism in dieting and weight loss. And I gained back this certain control that I thought I'd lost. And I just placed it on controlling my body and appearance. Because just growing up in this world of constantly looking at what we see, I thought I had to change, I had to be this, I had to be that. Because that's what everyone was doing.
Eating disorders develop in people for probably a number of reasons. Mental health is obviously an issue. It can come down to grief. I think eating disorder comes from an unhealthy attraction to something to do with food or to do with control.
Hello!
I think some people are more prone to developing eating disorders. Other people are not so prone. But in lots of cases I think it's something that person, either a young person can, or any person, can control themselves.
Like a lot of eating disorders, mine started healthy. I cut down food a healthy amount, I started the gym. Yeah, and I lost the weight. I got to a healthy, normal weight. I was exercising a good amount, eating the right amount of foods. But the voice in my head telling me to lose the weight was still there. It was still saying that if I lost more weight, I would be happier. So first I restricted my diet again. Less calories, eating gum or drinking coffee if I was hungry. But then it just wasn't really doing much, so that's when the bulimia started. If I felt I overate one night, or I felt guilty, or even if I just didn't like the feeling of food in my stomach, I would throw up, I'd be sick. But it got to the point where I knew I should stop, but I also didn't want to feel guilty for eating. So I restricted again. I ate my exercise, and if I missed an exercise session, I would skip a meal. I slowly cut down my calories more gradually, to the point I was barely having a meal a day. And as I stopped eating, I slowly stopped feeling hungry. I just felt tired and kind of numb now. How do you think my experience with an eating disorder affected the family?
Wow, that's a big one.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's a big one. I think it placed the family into a point where there was a lot of concern, a lot of worry. You thought that you were fine. Everybody else could see that you weren't fine, and no matter how much advice and guidance was given, it wasn't taken on board because you were then thought that you were in control of it, whereas it was in control of you.
I think you lost control, even though you thought you were gaining control of yourself. I think you lost control. I think it caused problems with our relationship together because there was a lack of trust from you to me, and then eventually a lack of trust from me to you. You didn't believe things I was saying to you, even though you were putting your body at risk, doing the same mistakes, and I could see how hard it was to get through to you that you were making yourself ill and worse over time, and there was nothing I could do to help.
I got to the point where my therapist put me on a meal plan. I had to have breakfast, I had to have lunch, I couldn't live alone, I couldn't be by myself, I had to have people watch my every move, make sure I ate, make sure I followed the rules. And I was sneaky mind, I didn't listen for the first month or two. But then I got to such a point where I was just so cold and tired, and it kind of felt like my brain wasn't working anymore, and I could feel I could feel myself shutting down. At that point I realised that I wasn't the only one scared either. My friends were scared, my family was scared. I could see myself hurting everyone around me. And I didn't want to leave the way my mum did. I didn't want to leave my little sister. I didn't want to leave my dad, my nan. I knew they would suffer, so one day I made a list of reasons why I should get better, why I should recover, why I should actually live my life again. The list of reasons I would carry around with me all the time. They would range from my friends, my family, my future, travelling, because I really want to travel one day. And as time went on, my energy came back, which motivated me even more. I was able to go cycling, to the gym, I was able to see my friends. Recovery gave me back meaning. And even though it was one of the hardest lessons I've ever learned, it taught me that life is really, really not about the dress size you wear or how much you weigh. It's way more. Because when you look back on your life in years to come, you're not going to think about when you weighed this or when you weighed that. Or you're going to think about the moments you shared with the people you love. The moments where you didn't play it safe. The moments filled with laughter and joy and smiles and all that cringy stuff. To be in the present and experience this whole thing that we have around us. That's what's important.